Seated in a starkly lit interrogation room under the unblinking eye of a video camera, Stefan Smirk began to speak with a calm, almost detached candor that unnerved even the most seasoned detectives present. He recounted driving westward from his army barracks on that rainy November night in 1994, propelled by an internal compulsion he had carried for years, a compulsion that had finally demanded fulfillment. "I knew that I was going to kill somebody," he stated plainly. "I did not know who." Cruising through quiet residential streets, he had selected Robin's home almost arbitrarily because the "for sale" sign in the front yard suggested possible vacancy or lax security, an assumption that proved tragically accurate when he discovered an unlocked entry point and slipped inside without difficulty. Once confronted by Robin in the dim light of her living room or hallway, the carefully rehearsed control he imagined evaporated into pure frenzy. He seized a kitchen knife and attacked with unrestrained savagery, stabbing repeatedly until she ceased all movement. "I cut her up pretty good," he said, in a flat, matter-of-fact tone that contrasted grotesquely with the horror of the words themselves. He described severing the phone cord, wiping the blade, exiting into the rain, returning to base, showering away the evidence, and resuming his life as though the intervening hours had never occurred. For the next 29 years, he claimed, the urge had never again overwhelmed him to the point of action, though he candidly admitted that without the anchoring influence of his wife and children, he believed he would have continued down the path toward becoming a true serial offender. Then came the statement that would haunt courtrooms, news headlines, and the nightmares of anyone who heard it. "I've not killed anyone else, but if not for my wife and my kids, I probably would be a serial killer. I am a serial killer who's only killed once." The room fell silent for a long moment as the weight of that declaration settled over everyone present, a declaration that simultaneously confessed to one murder and hinted at the monstrous potential that had lurked just beneath the outwardly ordinary life for nearly 3 decades. Detectives pressed for motive, for explanation, for any insight into why the confession had come now rather than earlier. Smirk offered no single tidy answer, suggesting a combination of mounting guilt, fear that advancing genetic techniques might eventually identify him anyway, and perhaps a simple exhaustion from carrying the secret alone for so long. DNA analysis of the preserved blood drop on the washcloth provided irrefutable scientific confirmation. The profile matched Stefan Smirk exactly, closing the evidentiary circle that had remained open since 1994. Arrested without resistance, extradited to Virginia, and formally charged with first-degree murder, Smirk entered a guilty plea in October 2024, sparing the family the additional trauma of a prolonged trial, while simultaneously ensuring that the full truth, as he chose to tell it, would be entered into the public record forever. March 2025 arrived, bringing with it the long-awaited sentencing hearing in a Fairfax County courtroom packed with Robin's surviving family members, investigators, journalists, and a handful of curious observers drawn by the case's extraordinary resolution. Ollie and Nicole, Robin's elderly parents, sat near the front, their faces etched with the cumulative weariness of 30 years spent grieving without closure. Mary Cowens, Robin's sister, and niece Lauren Ovens flanked them, while Emily, now a poised adult woman carrying both the visible strength and invisible scars of her childhood trauma, prepared to address the court directly for the first time
in the presence of the man who had forever altered her life. In deeply emotional victim impact statements, family members spoke of the gaping void Robin's murder had left behind, the holidays forever dimmed, the milestones she never witnessed, the ordinary moments of motherhood and grandmotherhood stolen from her and from them. Mary described the relentless pain of wondering why her sister had been chosen at random for such incomprehensible cruelty. Lauren looked directly at Smirk and declared with quiet conviction, "He doesn't have a soul." Ollie and Nicole, voices trembling yet resolute, expressed profound gratitude that justice had finally arrived, even if it came 30 years late, acknowledging the technological miracles and tireless investigative work that had made this day possible after so many years of hopeless waiting. Commonwealth Attorney Steve Descano characterized the crime as one of the most senseless and heinous in the county's history, a completely random act of extreme violence visited upon an innocent woman in the supposed sanctuary of her own home. The presiding judge, in delivering the sentence, echoed that sentiment, imposing the maximum penalty available under Virginia law, a life sentence with all but 70 years suspended, effectively ensuring that Smirk would spend the remainder of his natural life behind bars, with the only distant and unlikely possibility of parole consideration many years in the future, a future made even more remote by legislative changes to Virginia's parole system enacted shortly after the original murder. In the aftermath of the hearing, Robin was remembered not merely as a statistic or a victim, but as the vibrant, creative soul she had been, an artist whose colorful canvases had once brightened rooms and spirits alike, a mother whose final desperate struggle had been an instinctive attempt to shield her child from harm, even as her own life ebbed away. Emily's survival through those 48 hours alone in the blood-soaked house stood as a quiet testament to human resilience, a resilience that had carried her forward into adulthood, despite the nightmares and unanswered questions that had shadowed her entire life. Even with the confession recorded, the guilty plea entered, and the maximum sentence imposed, certain questions linger stubbornly in the air, like smoke that refuses to dissipate completely. Why Robin specifically? Why that particular house on that particular November night? Was the selection truly as random as Smirk claimed, or was some subtle subconscious factor, a lit window, a glimpse of movement inside? The simple fact that the for sale sign suggested transients tipped the balance in that direction. And most disturbingly of all, when he described himself as a serial killer who's only killed once, was that statement an honest self-assessment born of genuine restraint, or merely the self-justifying rationalization of a man who had learned, over decades, how to bury the impulse so deeply that it never again surfaced in action? Smirk lived nearly 30 years in complete freedom after the murder, years filled with ordinary milestones, a wedding, the births of children, career advancements, family vacations, quiet evenings in a comfortable home, as Emily grew up asking why her mother never came back from the night she disappeared into silence. The stark contrast between those parallel lives underscores one of the most unsettling truths revealed by this case, that individuals capable of extraordinary evil can, and frequently do, walk among us disguised as utterly unremarkable neighbors, co-workers, and parents, their darkness concealed beneath layers of routine and social camouflage, until some internal or external pressure finally forces it into the open. The advances in forensic genetics that ultimately identified Smirk represent one of the most hopeful developments in modern criminology, proof that time does not necessarily grant permanent immunity to those who commit heinous acts. Yet the case also serves as a sobering reminder that justice delayed remains justice incomplete. 30 years of unanswered anguish cannot be retroactively erased, no matter how severe the punishment ultimately imposed. Robin's surviving family members have spoken publicly of their determination to move forward, to honor her memory through acts of love, creativity, and resilience, rather than allowing the shadow of her killer to define the rest of their days. The blood drop on the washcloth, that minuscule piece of evidence preserved through decades of doubt and disappointment, ultimately spoke with irrefutable clarity.
Bridging the vast gulf between 1994 and 2023 in a single scientific match, a voluntary telephone call ended nearly 30 years of silence. And yet, in the quiet moments after the headlines fade and the courtroom empties, the deeper philosophical questions remain. How many other such secrets are still being carried in silence? And how many more will surface only when the carrier can bear the burden no longer? Rest in peace, Robin Warr Lawrence, a woman whose life was defined not by the manner of her death, but by the beauty she created, the love she gave, and the light she brought into the world through her art and through her motherhood. Your family has endured unimaginable sorrow with remarkable grace. Your daughter has carried your spirit forward despite the darkness that tried to extinguish it. And now, after 3 long decades, the truth has finally been spoken aloud, allowing at least some measure of healing to begin where only questions once existed. If this account has left you unsettled, perhaps even profoundly disturbed, know that such feelings are appropriate responses to stories that reveal how fragile the boundary between ordinary life and unthinkable violence truly is. Imagine for a moment the countless other families around the world who still wait for similar calls, families whose loved ones were taken in circumstances just as senseless, whose cases remain open files in dusty storage rooms, whose nights are still haunted by the same unanswered questions that tormented Ollie, Nicole, Mary, and Emily for 30 years. Hit that like button if this story moved you, touched you, or simply made you pause to consider the hidden darkness that sometimes walks beside us unnoticed. Subscribe and turn on notifications if you want to continue exploring these real-life tales of cold cases finally solved, shocking confessions finally given, and justice finally, however belatedly, served. And in the comments below, share your thoughts. Do you believe Stefan Smirk when he insists he killed only once? Or does his own description of himself as a serial killer who's only killed once make you wonder how many others are still out there, living quietly, waiting for whatever internal or external trigger might finally release the monster they have spent years suppressing? Thank you sincerely for watching until the end. Stay safe, stay aware, and remember that sometimes the most ordinary seeming lives conceal the most extraordinary secrets. Until next time.
Motherfucking design all right now.